a podcast for creatives. On this week's episode of Take Aim Podcast, we are joined by Briana Hume, a fun and inspiring artist who paints beautiful works of art from her Alaskan cabin. We'll talk about the joys and struggles of being an artist and how important community is for all creatives. You can catch new episodes each week on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, and Audible. I hope you enjoy this next episode of Take Aim Podcast. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Your studio is beautiful, by the way. Gosh, all your artwork behind you, it's just like screams you.
This is not normal. This isn't even my studio. This is my dining area / kitchen. And I'm trying to make it look nicer.
Are you living in like a log cabin?
Yeah.
That's so cool.
We just moved into it. So I'm in Alaska and we were looking for a house that we could afford for the 5 of us. It's this weird house. It's cute, but it's hodgepodge. It's so strange. Like everything in it doesn't make sense. Nothing was planned. And so I think it used to be like a single story log house. The kitchen's upstairs. And then just kind of like raised it up. And so the downstairs living room used to be a garage. And they're like, oh, that's a living room now.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
That's weird.
Well, thank you so much, Briana, for joining me and taking time out of your day. And, to be honest with you, I love your work. Like I love what you do. I love, your bright colors. I love when you just, when I look at your work, I really see something special. And so that's why I wanted to have you on and to talk about what you do, why you do it, how you do it, and just kind of I want to know your story, So what was your life like, as an artist, like before the mastery program, or like when did you realize like, hey, like I'm going to take myself seriously, like I'm going to do this and I'm not looking back?
Oh boy, there's a lot there. First of all, thank you. I'm so glad to be here. Yeah. So my story, I wouldn't say it's very interesting, but it's been kind of a long, winding journey to get here. So I used to hate it when people ask me like, hey, when did you first like art? Because I've always liked art.
Yeah.
I mean, as a kid, my mom was just sending me some pictures of me as a little kid coloring. Like I, kind of get me presents, like give me drawing supplies, get me coloring supplies, and I'd be the happiest person ever.
Right.
So I thought all children would be like that. I thought my kids would be like that, like, oh, go color for an hour. And no, no, they don't color. But yeah, I've always liked art. I remember I would draw people all the time. I would draw horses and animals, and I kind of had a knack for it since I was little. And then through school, just lots of detours. I remember in high school, even though I was obsessed with art, I ended up taking a drama for all 4 years because that's what all my friends were doing, drama. So like, I'll take drama too. So I was in theater instead of art. But yeah, it's always been in the back burners. And then, life happens. So I was never much of a planner. Life kind of happens to me and I just kind of go with it. And I ended up with a family and I ended up, moving to Alaska, and just my art was always in the background. Like I would paint in my free time and I would paint because I loved it. But just, it was like this nagging thing, and it kept building and building and building. And I think in the back of my mind, I was always planning on doing something with it, but I never had time. And I didn't have structure, and I didn't know how to be an artist. I didn't know how
Right.
to do it.
Nobody tells us.
I know. I just kept waiting for someone to come along and say, hey, you're talented. Let's go do this thing. And that's not going to happen. So yeah, I had 3 little kids, and, spare time is precious. And I ended up homeschooling them. So I do that. It's a huge investment. And then I think it's through Facebook, or I think someone sent me a link to this, the Milans, and I just kind of stalked them for a while and watched other videos
Oh
and
yeah, me too. Totally. Yeah. Total stalker right here.
yeah. And I was such a cheapskate. I'm like, what's free? They have more free videos. And then I saw their 1 year program, and it's like it just spelled out everything that I had been wanting for so long. Just the little details of a business and how to actually promote yourself and how to find your voice and all the things that I hadn't seen anywhere else. Um, so I was really interested in it. And then, but I didn't have the money for it. We live very humbly here. It's
Yeah.
like we, we live in a little clown car house and money is tight. And so I really wanted to do it. Uh, I just didn't think we had the money for it. And it was scary too, because, to invest in yourself and invest in this huge idea, it's like, what if I spend all this money and then still nothing happens? And I was just I was just scared. So they had this contest they put out to like a scholarship thing. And so that I applied for the scholarship. I'm like, oh, this is it. I can apply. And then because I'm poor, I can do this. And so I went through this whole process and then I didn't get it. And it made me so sad. And
Oh,
like, I cried and cried and cried because I thought that was my only chance to do anything with it. And my poor husband, he's like, there, okay.
like what can I do?
But I think it was because it made like the impact it had on me, and I was so sad that I realized like, oh wow, this is really important to me. Like I need to take this seriously. And so we sat down and we were going through our funds and like, let's just do it. Like we didn't have the money, we're like, let's just do it anyway.
Yeah.
I'm so glad I did. So, I mean, it's not like some rainbow success story where I was, selling things left and right, but I was able to sell enough to pay for my classes and
That's amazing. Like right there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw other people doing it, like, yeah, you're special. And then eventually I'm like, oh cool, I did too. Okay.
I can't stop looking at your artwork behind you, and I just want to skip straight to like style and process and like how you like it, because you've gone through the whole process section and everything like that. What did you find stuck with you? And then what did you find that you're just like, oh, that was cool, but like, you know?
I really I love trying all different things because you don't know what you're going to like until you try it. And it's also equally satisfying to find out things that you hate. So
Right.
I hate drawing. I've always hated investing a lot. Everyone's like, draw every day. No, I just can't. I can't do it. I hate drawing. And I think it's important, but I hate drawing. But mixed media was fun. I like spray paint and ink and all that stuff. But personality wise, I think I'm a bit of a control freak. And so things where I can't really control the direction and control the outcome is challenging.
Yeah.
I like the oil paints. I like the markers. I think uh, my dream thing would be if they do have oil-based markers, but if they had ones that were like the same as acrylic markers,
Yeah.
so nice. Because I like the freedom to just kind of make marks and flow and not have to worry about what goes on top of what.
Exactly. What are your goals, like as an artist, or like now that you've gotten this far and, like you're doing what you love, and, what do you see for like your future? Like what do you want, out of this whole thing? And, do you kind of see like a picture like ahead of you that you're trying to work towards?
Um, the biggest thing has been breaking this mentality of living. It sounds so sad, but living in fear. So just living so small and just being able to think about being a professional artist and step into that has been huge for me. I mean, I'm a quiet person. I don't have a lot of self-confidence, and just building my whole life around this and making it work like brick by brick has been really satisfying. Um, so yeah, I mean, I want a sustainable business. I like sharing my art with people. And it sounds funny to say that, but I really do. It's my favorite part of creating is sharing it with people and getting their feedback and seeing if it affects them and if it helps them and changes them, inspires them. It's like
Yeah,
a rewarding thing ever.
it really is.
Um, it's amazing. It's a conversation that you're having without words, and it's just so cool. um, so to be able to have my artwork out there and to influence people and hopefully make their lives better, um, is just it's like a dream goal. And I think I'm on the precipice. I think I'm so close to kind of getting to that point.
I think you are too. From an outsider's perspective, I feel like, I feel like, I don't know how you feel, but I really feel like you found like your thing or your look or your style or the way that you do things, because anytime you create something new, it always looks like it came from you, like from the same person, to where when I see my artwork, I'm still kind of figuring out, okay, like what is me? Because it's like I like this and then I like this, but then I like that, and then I'll keep creating things, but they're always so different every time. So I'm still kind of struggling to get to that place where I feel like you've gotten really close to, where you're at. And it's inspiring for me, to see people that were in my class and, because I'm a little bit behind. I have all these things going on, but I'm going to get back in the game. I'm going to get back on that little bicycle and keep going. But when I see artists that are just, really thriving from this program that we've been a part of, like it's inspiring, even just, being behind or, whatever. It's really encouraging seeing the people in your class, doing what we all signed up to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. And that's been something that I didn't see coming, was this little community of artists that we all get to be a part of. Because when I signed up for the class, I was expecting instruction and little videos, and it felt like it was going to be a very lonely journey. But seeing, like you said, all these other people from all over the world, and what inspires me is seeing them with limitations with supplies or families or other jobs, and just like way more time constraints than I even could dream of having. And they're blossoming and their businesses are thriving. And like you said, you see their voices coming out. And throughout the year, we get to see them actually, walk into that and realize what they have to say. It's so cool.
I know. I love what we do because it's like I love artists so much because we're so expressive. And it's like when you get to see someone's art, even if you don't know them, you feel like you know them just a little bit better.
Mhm.
I feel like that's kind of special with creatives and like people who create and like put themselves out there and just kind of, just experiment and, just it's just like, hey, like this is what I've done. I don't know exactly why, who, what, where, like all the questions, but this is what I've created. And, most of the time, the feedback is really good. And it's almost like a snowball effect. It like almost helps other people realize, hey, I can do that too. People who aren't even in the program and maybe have other passions. They're like, oh, look, this person's chasing their dreams. Like, I feel like we're all kind of waking up to ourselves and like what we're capable of. With especially in the past couple of years where we've all kind of had to slow down and stop a little bit and just be like, okay, well, what are we all doing?
It's encouraging to see that we all struggle too. I know I've met a few people online, other artists who have all the same struggles, all the same fears that I have. And many of them are more talented than I am, or, further along in their process or their journey. And they're still going, well, I don't know what I have to say, or I don't know if I can do this. And I love that we're able to encourage each other. And that's something that I'm passionate about, because I've gotten so much encouragement. Finding all these people to like cheer you on and struggle the same ways that you're struggling. It brings me a lot of joy being able to any little tidbits I learn, share them to other artists and say, keep going, because we've all been there, and you're all amazing too.
Yeah, I know the community it really, like you said, like has just been so encouraging. It doesn't matter like where someone is on their journey or what they're doing or what they're going through. It's like you can ask, and tell people and express even how you're just feeling, like, oh, I really don't feel like I'm getting it, or I don't feel like, I don't feel like painting, or you can be honest and people are like, go, like, you can do it. And it's just I really have come to really appreciate artists and creatives, because we all, once we're in that kind of community, we realize, wow, like I didn't even realize I needed this, or I needed these people, or I needed this environment, or just this whole thing. And because I think a lot of the times creatives, we just kind of go at things alone, you know and I don't I'm trying to get the kind of the word out there that, like, that's not good, like we need each other. Like we need to find like-minded people, like either online or like in our communities or just wherever. Like grab someone off the street that's painting and be like, "Hey, like, let's get connected." Because I mean, for myself, like I'm a huge introvert. Like I love my alone time. I love my me time. I love, I could do this alone, but I realize that's not the best thing for me. you know I kind of want to get to a little bit more on the side of, struggles, like struggles as an artist. And is there anything like on your journey where you're just like, I've been through this, or I was going through this, and it could be helpful for maybe someone who's listening, who's, also a creative, or, a painter or not painter, just someone who maybe wants to go after their passions or their dreams and is just maybe having, a little bit of doubt, or not, don't really have that kind of faith in themselves to do what they dream of doing. Have you been there?
Oh yeah. Another thing that the last couple years that I was not expecting was like a ton of self-discovery. And it sounds so cheesy, but taking these art classes and making this practice and changing all these habits, taking it more seriously, it's it's forced me to really deep dive into why I'm creating it, and what's what do I have to say, and what is my response to the way I was brought up. And it's it's crazy, all the things about yourself that you learn and how everything is connected. And so, I was looking back at art that I used to make, and it was art that I was drawn to, but looking back, is people, it was women, and it wasn't until I lined them all up that I realized all these portraits I was painting were like, they were sad women. They looked lost. They looked like they were looking off in the distance. It's like, why am I painting these sad people? What does that mean? And then you're like, well, okay, well, am I drawn to this because I'm relating to it, or because I like it? And um, and then just trying to flip it, instead of just reacting to things, trying to slow down and think about, like, what do I want to put out into the world? And so I made a conscious effort to focus on the opposite, more like joy and like goals and dreaming and large, believing in yourself. I sound like a poster. um, and I found that people related more, of course, to something that makes them feel good. And then it made me happy to paint happier pictures, and not be afraid of color, and not be afraid of painting what was really in my heart and not what I thought people wanted to see. And so I see these people all the time worry about their voice. Um, that's something else, of course, we all struggle with, is like, do I have anything original to say? Do I even have anything worth putting out there? Yes, you do. Because we're all different, we're all unique, and we all have something special to say.
I agree 100%. And so how do you stay inspired? Like, what do you draw from? Like, what do you pull from? Like, living in Alaska, do you, because I see you have like your little fox back there. I don't think those are in Alaska, but like, do your surroundings, affect like what you're thinking or what you're painting, or do you just kind of pull from, I don't know, what do you pull from?
Thin air. No.
Right?
No, that's something that I have resisted my whole life, is not painting like where I'm at, like native art or Alaskan art or whatever. And it's fine, like that's what it is. It's just not my thing.
Yeah.
Because I've had family members, I've had people like, you, that's where the money is. You have to paint, tourist art. But I can't. I just can't do it. So oh gosh, like I said, I collect things. I'm like the little, like the bowerbird, I collect sparkly things and shiny things and patterned paper. And I would have boxes of just pages from magazines that I would tear out because there was a pretty picture or something, even words that I liked. I would tear them out, and I would just save them, and I would sometimes use them, and sometimes they just sit in my art room. But I love Pinterest because it makes it so easy to just kind of like pick from here and pick from there. So I'm inspired by all kinds of stuff. I have boards filled with just patterns, or I call them doodads, but like spirals or feathers or colors or just whatever it is. And I'm obsessed with people, and I'm obsessed with animals and birds, and um, but I don't have a plan. Like I don't set out to do like I'm going to paint about this subject and I go out and do it. I will see something and it'll hit me. It'll hit me in my gut, and I don't always know why. Like I just drew a picture of a wild African dog.
I saw that. I love it.
It's just like a strange thing, but when I saw it, I'm like, I have to do this. And I have this, it just creates a reaction in me. And then so I'll combine, I'll work on the image, I'll play with it, and I'll add things to it, and I'll change the colors and lights, and I'll just know when it's right. I'll feel it, and it'll look right to me. And then, later as I'm drawing or painting or whatever it is, um, again, I'll start to come to me. It's more like that. It's reaction, and then you take time to really think about what's behind your actions, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Oh, well, this means strength to me, or this is like being free and wild, and it's like it's all connected, and just trying to follow the path in your brain of like, what is this leading to or from? I think it's fascinating. And this, like I said, I've always been in art, but I paint every day now, and it's kind of my life. And my favorite thing that's happened is just seeing my kids' reaction to it. So they're different ages. They're 11, 9, and 6, and they're all boys. So
Oh, you've got your hands full, huh?
yeah. But my eldest, they see me working so hard, and I thought that guiltily it might like take away attention from them, like they might feel neglected, which they are not at all. But it's been so cool because I realized by taking my passion seriously, it's given them the freedom to take their own creativity seriously. And so they see me working so hard towards something, and then I see them on their own projects, like their own large scale projects. And that's so cool. It's like, oh wow. But they have like permission to go dream big. And I love that.
Exactly. I know. I totally feel you when you say like your kids' reactions to your painting. Cause like I'll do something and I'll make like a couple new marks. And like when a kid comes in and they're just like, wow. And you're just like, I love you so much. Cause I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm just so glad you like it. It's so great. I mean, kids are one of the greatest encouragers, I think. And um I mean, with my daughter too, it's like the more I push myself, the more I see, oh, like she's like you said, like they kind of catch on to that too. And I see her wanting to draw more and wanting to paint more, which is, like my dream because I love that so much. We always want our kids to love what we love. But she's also like into like everything, like singing and dancing and like all the extrovert things that I was never into. So as much as I want her to be like, or to love art or to love painting, it's like I see, okay, like she, you know, has this whole other area that she's almost like allowed to focus on now and is encouraged to focus on now because she sees me, like you said, doing what I love. And then she's like, oh, it just almost kind of clicks. And it's almost like I keep saying this snowball effect. It's like when you kind of decide, okay, this is what I'm going to do and I'm going to do it. And other people, anyone sees that and they're just like, oh, wait, what do I want to do? Like I'm just blabbling now. Let me look at my question list here. And because I don't want to forget anything, because I really did like my questions. Let's
You
see.
had good questions.
Okay, fun stuff. Okay, what are your favorite mediums to work with and colors? Like what colors like pop to you and which ones do you always tend to grab and like what are your go-tos?
My favorite color is red, and it has been since I forever since I was a kid, which I don't know, is that weird to have like the same favorite color since you were a little kid? I remember kids in the playground like, I like blue and I like yellow. It's like I've stuck with it my entire life.
Hey,
But
you know what you like.
exactly. Yeah. So reds, pinks, any variation of those, like alizarin crimson and naphthol red, and oh, I just love it. Um, they're so beautiful to me. But I love all colors. I do. I just love color, and um, I like oil painting. So I did painting and drawing, my whole life, but I took my first oil painting class in like a community college class. And the second that I tried it, I loved it because I love the way it feels and I like the way it blends and moves. I love it so much. Like, where was this my whole life? Fantastic. Because acrylics are, they can be so frustrating. They dry and they're kind of chalky looking, and
Kind of dull.
yeah. So I'm a diehard oil paint fan. But that being said, I like, oh, glitter. I like gold. I don't put a lot of it into my artwork, but I really like it. I'm always trying to find ways, or like shimmery powders. I found these iridescent like pigment powders that you can add to any paint colors you want. So I just sat down and I'm like, what does it do over here? And what does it do over here? They're so beautiful.
Oh my gosh, that sounds super neat. You could just throw it in your oil paint.
Mhm. Yeah, there's like a series of interference colors. So it's like interference blue, where it's like a pearlescent powder, but it shimmers blue a little bit, and then so you add it to colors, and it's just, oh, it's so much fun.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah.
I could be about that. Oh man.
What are your favorites?
Well, I really like, man, I love oil paint. And like I said, I'm always trying to rush to that part. And then I end up just totally making it extra hard for myself because I want to like get to things right away. I'm really impatient and I need like instant gratification. So I almost have to hold myself back a little bit and be like, okay, Martina, do you want to use anything beforehand before you touch the oil paint? It's a struggle because I'm just like, okay, I just want to get it done. I want to do it. And I'm just like, oh man, I can't. No, that doesn't work. But I from what I've been like working with so far, I mean, I love spray paint and I've discovered that I like painting big. So even though I have dreams of doing like murals and stuff like that, that I will be getting into. Obviously, I still have to complete my portfolio. I have 30 canvases I still need to fill. And yeah, so I'm actually kind of, I'm trying to be a little bit smart about it. I think I've kind of come up with something to maybe kind of like jumpstart that process and get through it a lot quicker than I probably originally would have thought of. So I'm just gonna say it. I'm gonna combine all my 30 paintings. And you know how we did the production week? I'm gonna try and attempt to do that with all of my 30 paintings. And I'm just gonna
What?
go for it. Yeah, I'm just gonna do it and hopefully it works out for me. But yeah, I'm just gonna lay them all out, hopefully maybe piece them together somehow and to where they look good, to where that maybe they can be used, as one whole collection, or they can be bought individually. But
Wow.
I'm super excited to start that because for a long time I've just been like, okay, how am I going to do this? How am I going to get this done? Like, because time just keeps ticking by. And,
So
every day I'm just like, it's in the back of my head. And I'm like, okay, I want to stop thinking about this and I just need to do it. I need to do something. So I think that's my solution.
that's amazing. I cannot wait to see how that turns out.
Right. Me too. So, what does your everyday life look like as a professional artist now? And I know in the program, Ellie said that painting 40 hours a week is the best thing that we can do. Have you gotten there yet?
Not even a little bit close. No. I Yeah, I'm not naturally a very organized, scheduled person, and that's something that I really am working on. And I've gotten so much better. I like it when things are organized and I have a schedule to follow. That's why the program worked really well for me because there was expectations. Like, okay, you have an assignment, you have to get it done, and that deadlines are great for me because I'm a procrastinator so bad.
Yeah, me too.
So yeah, and because of having those weekly assignments, it forces you to find pockets of time to paint. And so I'm definitely not like I don't have it all figured out, but for me, for the most part, we like to do schoolwork first thing in the morning because that's when my kids have the most energy. I have the most energy, and so I try to get that done by noon, and then the afternoon is my painting time. I'll usually spend like 3 or 4 hours painting if I'm lucky, then dinner, and then maybe an hour or two after that sometimes. And then also the weekends are hugely valuable to me. I actually get the most done probably on the weekends. Um, yeah, so that's pretty much how we do it. And of course, I like that our schedule is flexible. So life happens, things come up, but just getting in the habit of not pushing it to the side, taking it seriously and having things going really encourages me to get after it because I have goals. I have goals of having my website up, and I have all these ideas that I want to get out there, and so just like chipping away at it until on to the next thing.
Right. I know it always feels like we're just, like you said, like chipping away at it. Cause like for me, and I know you're probably really similar. All of us creatives are, we have all these ideas, right? And they don't just like come and go. They come and stay and then they keep going and then they keep coming and then they keep coming. And you're just like, oh my God, I got to chip away at some of this already. Like, before it's just, I got to like duplicate myself, like to even get it done. When you do your paintings, do you I like what do you what's your like vibe? Do you like to listen to music? Do you like to listen to podcasts? Like what gets you in the mood to be like, I want to be in my studio and I want to paint right now? Like how do you get yourself to get to it?
Sometimes I feel super inspired and I cannot wait to get in there, but typically, honestly, it's like resistance, trying to get myself to start is sometimes the hardest part. And I find with music, if I just start the music, then that really triggers like, okay, I'm relaxed a little bit. I stop thinking so hard. And then I remember I was watching an interview with, I want to say Aaron Brown. It was another artist that the Milans were interviewing, but he has this trick for getting himself in the studio. He just tells himself, I'm just going to paint for 5 minutes, just 5 minutes. I have one thing I'm going to get accomplished and then I'll move on with my day. And of course, once you're in there, like, oh, and just this, oh, and this, and then you get into the groove, and there's no pressure, and you're just lost. I love that. I love that trick, and I use it all the time. It's like, okay, I have 15 minutes before dinner. I'll just go in there. But the flip side of that is, for anyone who gets lost in their right brain land, I have to set timers all of the time because time does not exist when I am painting.
Right.
Like, how many times, like, oops, I forgot about dinner. Whoops, there goes the day. Whoops, it's been 3 hours. I didn't realize. So alarms are my friends. Yeah. And we have a cool stove too. So part of my job during the day is keeping the stove going and checking on it. And I don't know how many times I've like opened the stove and then walked into my art room and then like hours go by. Like, I forgot the stove again. So
You're
it's a
talking about the wood, you're talking about the wood burning stove, right? So you walk back and you're like, why is it so cold in here?
every day. Again.
Is there, because we're talking about like getting in the studio and just like you said, like 5 minutes, I need to apply that to myself, and I've been trying, and the way that I've been doing it, and I've been really, I haven't had any goals lately except for the one that I just told you about. But what I've been doing with my oil painting that I was talking about, I was like, okay, well, every day I'm just going to make a mark. I'm just going to do something. Like, I don't care what it is, what color it is, like or how I put it on. I'm just going to put something on there. And the same way, like I'll find myself just being like, oh, that was nice. Like, oh, I should do more. But I was like, nope, nope, I'm just going to keep it like this for today. But I always tend to want to do more. But then, like you said, there's like other stuff. Like my daughter's like, I want mac and cheese, or you know what I mean? Like stuff like that. But there have been a couple of times where I've just done that. I'm like, well, I'm going to do my one thing. And then I end up doing 3 marks. And then I end up doing 5 marks. And then my family's asking where I'm at. And then,
Yeah.
you know, that's how I've been slowly kind of creeping back into this whole thing, was just by, making a decision to just do a teeny tiny bit. And then, hopefully that will snowball into like, giving me inspiration for something else, which it did. So, hey, it works. It works for everyone.
Yes. That's great advice.
And speaking of advice, what advice would you give to possibly your younger self, or maybe someone who was maybe in our position before we started the mastery program, or before we decided like, hey, like I really care about this, like I'm going to take myself seriously, like someone who's like on that edge of just, making that decision. Like what would you tell someone like that, or maybe your, former self? Because I know for me, I mean, I'm going to be 31 this month, and there's been so many times where I'm just like, man, I wish I would have known that I could do this a lot earlier, because who knows where I could have been by now, like I wish I could have been like, back in time years and been like, Martina, you love this, you care about this, like go ahead, you're free to do this. Like what advice would you give?
Just to take advantage of because I have wasted so much time over the years. Like I said, I let life happen. I never had the confidence to have a big plan for myself or to take a big risk. And so just I would tell, people who are passionate to just take a chance on yourself, take a chance on your dream, because the chances of you regretting it are so slim.
Yeah.
You will learn something amazing in the process. You will, discover more about yourself, and you'll find something that you actually enjoy doing. And the older you get, it seems like the less time that you have. I look back when I was younger, I was like, what was I doing with all my free time? I could have been painting and doing all these amazing things. But the flip side of that too is, I think, just being realistic and being okay with what your circumstances are. And so, going through the program, everyone goes at different speeds. Some people just like go hardcore and they're just on it. And then, and others are slow, and that's okay. And I know for me, I was hard on myself because I wasn't going super fast. But life is a balancing act. So I know people have families or they have responsibilities. And I don't think everyone's going to have the opportunity to just stop what they're doing and go do their dreams. It's
Yeah.
like, but to have that confidence that your vision is something worth pursuing, that your dreams are worth investing in, and just taking a chance on yourself. Because if I hadn't, I would still be stuck in this no man's land of not doing something but wanting to do something. So yeah, I just say go for it, just, and like Ellie says all the time, start before you're ready, because this whole life that we're living is not going to be perfect, and we're never going to like have all of our ducks in a row. It's just like just start. And if you're not confident, fake it. Pretend that you're the most confident person in the world. And if you're terrified of doing something, just do it anyway. And that's how we learn and we grow. And like, go do an interview that you're terrified to do.
It's so true. I mean, like even for myself, like I said, I'm a huge introvert. Even doing this podcast is a big step for me, like I'm not the type of person where I'm just like, because my husband, he's such a talker. He loves to talk. He can talk all day, every day. And for him, podcast makes perfect sense, and for me, I can be that way if I'm talking to people who, are on this whole, if I'm talking to people that love the same kind of things that I'm into, like I could talk all day. Like, like as artists, it's like, it's great to find other artists because it's like, oh my gosh, like I found someone that I have so much to talk about with because this is all I ever want to talk about. Like, you know,
So true.
and my husband, he's great and everything, but he doesn't care about like how my paintings look, unfortunately. Like, I mean, he'll tell me, like, he'll be honest with me. He'll be like, okay, yeah, you gotta fix this right here. I'm like, okay, yeah, thank you. Like, thank you. That's what I need you for. But when it comes to like being passionate about what I'm doing and talking about that, it's like I gotta reach out there for other artists, even in like my community. Like I started a Facebook group because I loved the Milan community so much. And I was just like, man, like, what am I going to do after this? Like, I have to find real people now who live by me and, to continue to, inspire me to keep doing this thing that I'm doing. Not that I'm relying on other people to do that, but it sure helps.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
about goal setting, what either goal setting or like studio habits or like studio life, is there anything that you found that has just been super helpful for you, whether it be the way you organize things or the way, is there any other things that you could share that would make anyone's life easier?
I say you can create anywhere. I I have dreams of big, beautiful studios with big, giant windows and
Hmm.
tables and space, and I could just like stand back and look at all my beautiful easels. But that's not the reality that I live in. I have a tiny room that I paint in, and I'm really grateful for the space that I have, but it is a daily challenge because I find clutter stresses me out. I'm not really a clean person, but I hate it when things are out of place or all over the place. And so having my space cleaned up and organized as best as I can, having at least, an area to work, having everything in the same place all the time so that it's very intuitive. I know where all my colors are, that everything's labeled. It's really helpful. And like I said, I mean, I've painted, I was just thinking back of all the weird little places I've painted. I mean, I've painted like at the kitchen table. I used to have a spot in our dining room. I used to have a corner of my kid's bedroom that I would paint in. And just, you just, it's more about the habits that you make. It's more about prioritizing the time. That's way more important to me than what it looks like. It's it's your workspace. It's where you produce things, and it doesn't. I would like it to be beautiful, but it's not. I have this drop cloth that I put up because like I don't know if you can tell, we have a log house, and I didn't want
Yeah.
to water our logs with paint and stuff. And so I found this old drop cloth, and I pinned it up over our walls. Like, so I'm spray painting that, it saves it. But it is the ugliest drop cloth in the whole entire world. It has like brown stains on it and stuff. And it's like, what was I thinking? Now I have a hideous thing up that I'm looking at all of the time.
Add some more color on top of certain colors, right?
Just spray paint it.
Right.
Awful.
I know. I totally feel you with this small space because, before I started the mastery program, we live in a travel trailer. We live in a 30-foot travel trailer. And so I made it work at first, and I put my easel down, and it was basically took up the whole room. It was the room, it became the room. And we have kitty cats, and I realized, oh my gosh, like when I was doing commissions and stuff, I would catch these little hairs that would fly on my painting, and I was picking it off with like tweezers, and I'm just like, this doesn't work. You guys, this doesn't work. And I'm like, okay, I need a studio, like whatever we have to do. Like, and so, my husband built the studio, which is really, really great. And then the whole time he was building the studio, I'm like, man, when this studio is done, when the studio's done, when the studio's done, and then, I'll be ready. And well, the studio's been done for quite a bit of time now. So I've realized that it wasn't just the studio holding me back, right? Like you said, you can paint anywhere. And so I realized, okay, well, maybe, I'll start painting outside. And I started painting outside. And then I realized I loved that so much that like, I don't want to go back. Like I haven't been painting in my studio until recently, until I realized, okay, I got to do this. I can't just not do this. I have to do this. But, you know, like you said, just, and I want to paint more places. Like now that I know I can paint outside happily, it's like, oh, I want to, now I love murals. Now I know that like I can paint anywhere now, because if you're painting a mural, it's like it's just your canvas is out there, it's not in your studio, it's just out there. So I mean, I'm really excited to paint, elsewhere now. But I still love, the canvas, as at first when I was like, oh, this is what I want to do. I was like, oh, forget canvas. I won't touch canvas anymore. But then the more I realized, oh, well, I can't paint outside all the time. I'm just like, okay, no, I'm going back to the canvas. Like I still love it. I haven't forgotten about it. I haven't completely just, tossed it aside. And like lately I've been, getting into just trying things that I don't normally think to try. Like, the girl, I'm so terrible with names. Her art's so beautiful, but she uses her hands a lot. And she like,
Okay.
yeah, and she touches the oil paint. And at first I'm like, is that oil paint? Like she's touching it with their hands, right? Like that's what she's doing. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know we could do that. You know what I mean? And so I'm just like, oh, okay, let's see here. Okay. And then I'm realizing, dude, I love it. I love working with my hands, and I love finger painting, and, just like kind of doing offbeat stuff, just to figure out what it'll look like, what it'll feel like. And, I just love that there's so many different options as an artist. And it's just so interesting to see the different things that people have kind of chosen or taken to, like in the program, because everyone is kind of went, a little bit their own way, because that's just what we do as humans. Like we do things our own way. But it's so fun to try, to see what other people are doing. I'm like, oh yeah, maybe I will try it and figure out like, oh yeah, that works for me. Or like, oh no, that doesn't work for me at all. Has there been anything that you're just like, this is my thing, like I've got to do this every time, because if I don't, like it won't feel right?
For me, I have to have something to paint from. I used to be kind of embarrassed about that, like it's a handicap that I can't just paint from my brain, but I can't. I'm a visual person. Like I have to see my idea first, and then like, okay, now I can paint it. And so like photo editing apps and things have been life changing for me, because now this whole world is opened up. You can create any image, you can create any combination of anything. And so now what used to be like stuck in my head, I can actually physically see. And so I love that so much, being able to play with lights and layers. And so yeah, so collecting images and being able to create them first has been so helpful, because now I'm going back to pictures that I used to be so proud of, paintings that I worked on, because like there's this lady and these whales, and I was so proud of myself because like I had this idea, I'm gonna put some whales in it, and it seemed great. And I remember I would print out these separate photos, and I'm like collaging, I'm like cutting them out and trying to like make a hodgepodge picture out of it, and it just, the colors, they just did not work out. It was so difficult. So I have these tools. Like, what was I doing? So I'm going back and I'm doing it right.
Oh my gosh, I know. I love that. I love that. I totally relate because when, I was doing my images where I'm like, oh, I'll piece this and I'll piece this here. And we're like, this is beautiful. This is great. Like, I can't wait to paint this. But then I still struggle with sticking to that entirely. I'm just like, oh, well, maybe if I put green here or blue here, and then I, have fun with it. And then, time goes on. I'm like, wait, this isn't what I was trying to do. I had a little bit too much fun here. And then I have to like go back and be like, okay, this is what I really wanted to do.
Sometimes that's great. Sometimes that's where you discover things that you weren't planning on, and I love that. I just have a hard time with that.
Yeah. It's the perfectionist inside of us. I feel like a lot of us creatives have that. We always want things to be the way that they are in our head, right?
Yes.
That would be ideal.
I didn't know I was a control freak really until this past year. Oh, I really am.
Oh my gosh.
I don't like watercolor. I want to control it.
That's so funny. I was actually, before I did the mastery program, when I kind of got back into art again, I started with watercolors. And that's when I really learned that I was a control freak, because I would watch these videos of people playing with watercolors and how free and flowing they were. And here I was painting with watercolors like they were acrylics, not letting them bleed, like not letting them do anything they wanted to do, only what I wanted them to do. And I would spend like 10 hours on like a 9 by 12 little picture, getting every line and every dot and everything right. And I'm just like, I have got a serious problem.
Yeah.
So I love that the program kind of brought me out of that a little bit and like told me, that I can take a breather and I can just not be that way all the time, or at least intentionally to try not and be that way all the time. Because, if we are like that, for just kind of get stuck in that control mode, I find like for myself, like I get drained, and like I get uninspired and then I just stop, so it's like, it's this crazy balance of like having enough control, but then like not being out of control. Like, I don't know, is that still a thing for you that you deal with?
Absolutely. Yeah. I like, yeah, there's like different stages. So when I'm having an idea, it's full creativity, anything goes, and I'm pulling my images together. It's like, well, how about, throw a bee in there? I don't know, throw something, I don't care. It's like digging through a bin and like shaking it in the air. All right, let's try this. And I love that process where you can add and take away, and it's so much fun for me. And then I have this image, and then I'm so happy with it, and I'm sold on it. And I love starting paintings. It's one of my favorite things because I can stop being so controlling for 5 minutes. It's like, because it doesn't matter, because I'm going to cover it up anyway. And so I can just splash color on there and pour things, and like, that didn't work. Who cares? Let's keep going. And I love it so much. And I like how fast it changes. Like the beginning of paintings, it goes from this ugly black or blank canvas, and then all of a sudden there's color that wasn't there before. And oh, I love it so much. But then it's like somewhere in the middle, I stop having fun, and then I'm just controlling. And so I think there's tricks. I know sometimes I have to like put my source away. It's like I had this idea, but I'm like stuck on it. You just kind of need to listen to what you want to do sometimes. Like, oh, well, I want to put a blue stripe here. Let's try it. And that's how you find things out.
Right? By trying and honestly failing. Like for
That
me, like,
too.
yeah. With the painting that I've been doing, it's like, well, I'm just going to use whatever color I feel like using. It's like, oh, well, yellow looks really pretty to me today. I'm going to use yellow, and then I'll put it next to this other color. And sometimes right away, I'm like, oh, those colors just don't go together. I was like, but well, hey, now I know. Now I know. And that now that's like a mental note in my head. Like, don't do this on a real painting you care about. Like, you know, but I wouldn't know
You,
unless I tried.
I know. It used to drive me nuts to watch other artists paint like in these little time lapse videos because I never see them wiping stuff off because I'm doing that every 5 minutes. Like, la la la. That's awful. Where's my rag? Wipe that off. Try that 5 more times. Nope, that's still not working. Like some days it does not work. And I think it's like getting stuck in our left brains. Like there's times where I can feel it. This is not going to be productive. I'm
Yeah.
going to damage what I'm working on. It's not helping. And so, just taking a break and coming back to it later. And then, other times like, wow, everything I touch is working and just flowing so effortlessly.
Right.
I was like, why are they not wiping stuff off? I got my hands in there. I'm like scraping.
I totally feel you. I've been there. I'm like, this is going great. And then just like out of nowhere, like things just kind of change on you. And you're like, okay, that wasn't a very good mark. Okay, that must have I can fix it real quick. And then you like go over it. And then you're just like, I'm like, where are these videos on social media? Because, I know it's not just us.
Like they edit all those parts out.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah.
almost want to create a video now of like just a time lapse of like only mess ups.
You should.
Maybe that could go viral.
Yeah. The real behind the scenes.
Right.
There's that, and the other thing I do that I want to kill myself is it's like when the painting session's almost over and I have something I have to do, and I'll tell myself, well, just one more mark, and I'll just do something that why what did I do? And then you have to stop painting, but you can't, like, I've just ruined everything, and then you try to fix it and it's like this mess that's just breeding more mess. So I try to tell myself, no, that can wait until later.
Yeah, I know. We do have to do that, don't we? We're just like, no more. Walk away, put the brush down and walk away. Okay, good. I'm glad we're getting this out there for people to hear because I feel like that this just needed to be addressed.
We all make hideous paintings.
Yes, we do secretly. We only share them when they're amazing. Okay. So, how has exploring your creative side enhanced like your personal life?
Well, I know it's forced me to be more conscious of my time, definitely. Because I know I'm so guilty of being able to just like scroll through stuff and then like an hour
Yeah.
gone. And that was my free time. That was my creative time. And I just wasted it. And then, I tell myself, like, I have no time. So did I really not have any time? Or did I just, stare out the window for 20 minutes? Or because, having all these things that are important to you, I got family time, I got painting, I have chores, I have trips and shopping. And it really forces you to make time for everything. And it's like the marble jar, you put these things that are really important to you first, and you'll get all the boring laundry done in the meantime. Um so yeah, just being more structured, making more use of my time, and also just trying to be the best version of myself. So with my artwork, I know it sounds silly, but just the way I sit or the way I stand, or like taking care of my body, because I didn't realize how strenuous painting for hours can be on your body. I felt like so out of shape. Why am I so tired? Because I like to paint standing up. It makes me feel more free. And but man, exhausting. I had terrible posture. And so just try and take care of yourself and stay hydrated and not drink 12 cups of coffee in a day. And and yeah, and I try to paint even if I don't feel like it, and create good patterns for myself. Um, and then, I don't know, it makes me feel accomplished to get things done throughout the week and not let them pile up on myself. I think.
Yeah. I feel like I really needed that part too. And I think a lot of us creatives do because we like to do the fun stuff and not think about all the stuff that we should probably be thinking about. You know what I mean? And we tend to want to stay in imagination funland, and that is something I'm right there with you. Like I've had to work on like time management, like more than ever now because I realized, hey, like if I really want to do this, like I've got to do it. I can't just like think about it. Like thinking about it isn't going to do anything for me. And I really think that that's something that Ellie just really kind of like drilled in, and it's kind of just been there in the back of my mind, just continuing to drill in until it like turns on my switch to just like, hey, like you do have time in your day. If you wake up earlier, if you change something around, if you just schedule your time, if you just make the plans and then stick to them, like you can do it. Like there's nothing stopping you. Where before it's just like, oh, well, I need to have a studio, or I need to have this, or I need to have that, or, oh, I don't know my style yet. So I don't want to like kind of figure it out by just doing it. I want to wait until I know, you know what I mean? But it's like, those are all excuses.
Yeah, that's something I struggle with is like what she calls resistance is, I don't know, we get in our minds, and I know for myself I get mental blocks of, I will find literally anything to keep me from going into my studio. I'm like, oh, well, I should do dishes. Oh, I haven't organized that drawer over there in a long time. And oh, I need to go to, and it's so stupid because, as if I was outside looking in at myself, like, you're just falling. Like, why do we keep putting these things off? And it goes back to fear. It's like, I'm afraid that things aren't going to go right, or I'm afraid that, I will make a dud or something. I don't know. It's all silly.
Yeah.
And just, I guess, recognizing these signs of what, like, oh, I'm having resistance right now, has been so helpful, because I can recognize it and go, I'm being silly, I'm getting stuck in my head, just go in there. um and yeah, like you said, having a schedule, I'm so not scheduled, but I aspire to be a scheduled person. My dream version of my life, I would have like a meal plan, and I would have a chore, like a daily laundry day, and like that's what I need in my life. I need to like have everything laid out for me.
I,
I,
I'm I'm with you. I I could I feel the pain of that like 100% because it's just it's hard. Like it's hard to balance everything in, but when you learn to recognize your own BS, it gets easier every time to just call it out in yourself and be like, okay, like we know what this is. Like let's just not listen to that and keep going, you know? And so for me, like I said, I think what's held me back for a lot longer than I've wanted is, like you said, fear, like whatever it is. It's like maybe fear of using all my supplies, maybe fear of, just like using too much paint, or just, making something and just realizing like I still don't know what I'm doing, or, maybe had an idea and I'm like, well, maybe I don't really like this after all. Like, oh no, but it's like, whatever, it's okay. Like, I feel like when we learn to recognize our fears as artists, it's like the best thing we can do for ourselves is to just like do whatever that is causing fear. Like lately, like I said, like using too much paint. Like when I would use my paint, I'd be like, squirt out a tiny bit. And like even when Ellie was just like, no, just squirt it out there, I'm like, okay, I'll do about half of that. And then I feel like I'll add some extra gal kid to that and everything. But then like lately, I'm just like, I'm just gonna put it on my hand and I'm gonna smear it, and I'm not gonna feel bad about it. And ever since doing that, I'm like, okay, I've gotten past that one. Okay, what's my next thing I'm afraid of, you know? And lately it's just been like, okay, well, not finishing. And I'm like, okay, well, what can I do to finish to beat the fear of not finishing? And so, then I came up with that. But are there any other like fears that like you deal with that, that you're constantly trying to like make sure that aren't holding you back?
Well, I like what you just mentioned really struck a chord with me, that, like not using too much materials and stuff, because that's something I struggle with. And I think it goes back to that sense of like self-worth or your own value. Because I deal with this in all kinds of aspects of my life that I'm slowly becoming aware of. It's like, I hate waste. I hate throwing away food. I hate, you know, getting rid of clothes that are, not falling apart. Like, I hate waste. And the fact that, like you said, like, am I worth the nicer oil paint? Like, am I worth throwing away this teeny tiny glob of paint? It's like, yes, you are. Like, it's okay to invest in the nicer materials as you progress, and it's okay to get the nicer canvas, and it's okay to do this. I'm not saying go crazy, but it's our craft. It's okay to invest and to use quality materials, because what we're making a quality product.
Mhm.
Mindset for me has been so hard, because we have these little nagging voices in the back of our head going, it's a hobby, you're playing. It's like, no, this is a real serious
Yeah.
something to care about. So for, yeah, just valuing yourself, and then valuing your time too. And everything's a balance, but making time, and having a communication with the people around you that this is important, um, and allotting time to dedicate to it, and uh, yeah, and giving yourself permission to, to work on it.
I know. I feel like a lot of, you know, being a creative is just giving yourself the permission to do whatever it is you're passionate about. I feel like, even as we get older, like we tend to, whatever it is, if we have kids and we learn to say no a lot, and then that maybe that turns into like saying no to ourselves a lot, but it's just, I guess I don't know what I'm trying to say anymore. That happens to me. But oh, another thing that I thought of a couple minutes ago was what has been your favorite part of the program and why?
I was looking forward to the marketing section and the business section, because I thought that was going to be super fascinating, which it was. But what really shocked me was it, taking these art classes, like finding your voice. It was like low key therapy.
Mhm.
It was like,
Right? It was.
let's think about your greatest fears, and let's think about um, your vulnerabilities, and what's your superpower, and what do you have to say. Like, what? I was not expecting any of this. uh, but I thought it was so fascinating, like thinking about your archetypes and your personality traits. And my favorite part about that wasn't figuring out my own. It was, ever since I went through this program, I'm like, the ability to start seeing these archetypes in other people,
Yeah.
and understanding other people better. Like, oh, you are a sage type personality. You love information. You love knowing why. Or you're the explorer. You are the adventure seeker. I find that so fascinating, and especially in brands too. You start to see behind the curtain of what's behind the message, or like, what are they, how are they presenting it to you. I think that is super cool. But yeah, just like analyzing yourself, because I don't know about you, but I had never really thought about all these questions. I had never thought about why I create in the first place. Like, I don't know.
Right.
I just I, I just sat for the longest time. Like, I like pretty things. Is that an answer? Can that be my answer? But oh yeah, just digging up just like past traumas, and um again, I think it goes back to control. I remember being a kid, and my childhood was kind of rocky, and I think I turned to art, because it was something I could control. It was something beautiful that was mine, that I could put out into the world, that wasn't there before. It's like I had never really stopped to think about that. So just, asking yourself the whys has been just kind of opening my mind, and um, really helps me figure out where I want to go with my artwork, and trying to see things on a bigger picture. It's like it's not just, painting by painting. It's like, what is my message? What do I want to leave? What's my mark?
Yeah. No, totally. I love that part of the section too, because I feel like for a lot of my life, I've kind of, like you said, like not really asked myself those questions. And I feel like it's so important for creatives to know who they are or like why they're doing what they're doing. And I feel like what, in the world, it's like a lot of the time we grow up having other people tell us who we are and like, what we don't like, or what to do, what not to do, and stuff like that. And so we just kind of like pick up along stuff along the way. And we're just like, okay, I'm gonna grab that. That's my identity. I'm gonna grab that. That's my identity. But a lot of the times we end up with like a handful of stuff and we're like, wait, that's not me. That's not me. That's not me. And it's like, I feel like they did such a good job at helping us realize, or at least to just kind of guide us into like knowing ourselves a little bit better, so we can have more freedom to create and not feel like, we're doing things, like you said, like creating something other people would like, or, like I'm going to make this because I think it's going to sell, or it's like, no, I'm going to make this because I understand who I am a little bit better now. And now I know why I like this. And I think for me, that was like one of the most valuable things out of the whole thing, even just if I just got that, like, it could have, it just helps so many areas of my life personally where I'm just like, whoa, like, okay, like I finally get me now. Like I thought I was this, and this, but it turns out I'm like not even half of that, And it's just it was so cool. So yeah, I think that's probably a lot of our favorite, right? Because we just love knowing about ourselves, don't we?
We're all so self-centered. No, yeah, I mean, because it's made me kind of question, like you said, all our personality traits. It made me question what actually is my personality, and what has been a reaction to outside influences. So it's like, I'm a quiet person. I would call myself introverted. Like, am I really though? Like, I actually really do like talking to people, and I like visiting. I thrive on it, but only in certain situations. Like that fear of just having people see the real you, and putting yourself out there has been such a huge force. And just taking time to think about, like, am I shy? Why am I shy? Just, and it helps break out of that a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Like understanding like why we feel or like do the things we do like helps us to either like change that or accept it, And like for me, it's like for a lot of my life, I was like the kid like in the corner just drawing, other kids would be like playing and stuff like that. I'm like, I'm good, like y'all can have fun. Like I'm gonna be right here, and it's like, and I don't know why, like I just drew, was drawn to just creating a lot as a kid. And it's just like, and and I was okay with that. But now as I'm older, I'm just like, oh, okay, like I understand that a little bit more because like, I get that, I have more fun sometimes in my inner world than what, outside of my brain like provides me. You know what I mean? So it's like I've learned to, realize like, oh, okay, yeah, like I really do enjoy, being with myself and my thoughts and my stuff. But at the same time, it's like for a long time, I thought like, oh, I'm not extroverted because I just like don't go and, talk to like a bunch of people and I'm not like a bunch of people's lives and businesses and stuff. Like that was never like my thing. Like I was never just drawn to like, just like make myself a part of people's lives, because I was just so part of mine. But now I'm realizing, hey, that's okay. Like that's all right. Like I connect with, people who connect with my inner world. And it's like now that I realize that I can go after that. now that I realize that about myself, I can be like, oh, okay, now I know that, I'm not just an introvert and I'm like not totally extroverted. I just like to, connect with people who connect on the same level with me with like things that are already in my head. So it was really cool to just realize that and be like, oh, like this is okay. Like it's okay to just, you know, be in, I don't know what I'm saying anymore. I did it again.
You're in good company then.
uh, do you have any advice for like social media? Like how has your social media experience been with the whole hashtag thing, with the whole like posting and keeping up with what you're doing? Have you like built that habit of just, you know, constantly being able to share what you do? Because I know for me at first it was hard. It's like, oh no, I just want to paint. Like I just want to do this. And I'm like, wait, no, if I don't record it, no one knows about it. You know what I mean? And so, I mean, how has just been that journey for you?
Yeah, it's weird because at first, like I didn't mind sharing. Just like, ta-da! Look what I made. But the process, it felt I had to get over this feeling like I was intruding on people's lives by sharing stuff with them. And so, like, no one's gonna care what my process is. No one's gonna care what colors I'm choosing today. But I looked around at what I like to see, and like I love seeing behind the scenes. I love artists that inspire me. I love seeing their studio, and I love seeing what they're doing. So like, okay, so yeah, it's kind of overwhelming trying to keep up with it sometimes, but also really fun because it's like another avenue of creativity, trying to find interesting ways to show your process or make fun little videos and put music with it. And I've been having fun. Um, yeah, it's fun. And then you build a little community. And I like that when you allow yourself to be you, uh, like normally when I meet someone, I'm shy and I'm quiet and I keep all my freak weirdness, in a little bubble. I don't show
Right.
people that until later. Trying to actually be myself and realizing that that's what people connect with. It's like when you're authentic and you're not perfect and your quirkiness comes out, like that's what people love. I love that.
Me too.
And so trying to like post as myself or make honest videos and just communicate with others. It's been a lot of fun. It's like a weird little community of like-minded people. And I like Instagram too, because like you said, we have a little artist community on there, and
Yeah.
I get inspiration from it daily. I see people creating and going out there, and I really like it.
Have you come up with any kind of tactics to kind of grow an audience? Because I am like, I feel like I'm just shooting stuff out there and I'm just shooting blanks, man. Like,
I wish I had some wonderful advice. It's like a mystery to me. I don't get it. Um, Sometimes I'll get lots of new followers and I'll get lots of comments and engagements. And then I'll do something similar and I'm expecting this level of engagement and it's like nothing. And it's like the wind, like which way is the wind blowing today?
right?
I don't have any amazing advice there. I think the more that you use it, the more, you're seen. So
Yeah.
just putting yourself out there. But personally, I like quality over quantity. I could just post random stuff all day, but it would be meaningless. So just trying to, I don't know, just something I would actually enjoy looking at. I put out there.
Yeah.
And I try, I don't know, like even my kids are like, how many followers do you have? I was like, that doesn't matter. As long as they're the right kind of people, I think that's way more important. Having, your flock of weirdos is way more
Yeah.
important than having, 20,000 people who don't connect with you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then, because you've done a couple commissions, and I just thought of this right now too. So, because I know it's different for everyone, and some people really enjoy do commissions. Some people, it's just kind of like not their thing. Where do you find yourself in that like kind of spectrum of things? Like, have you, had any difficulties or anything that would be helpful to just kind of like expose or just like, maybe give people a little bit of, hope with commissions, or just what has been your experience with commissions? Because I find that it varies a lot.
My philosophy with especially art is to say yes if you can. Whatever it is, just go for it. And so even if it's something that's maybe not your favorite, I gotta be honest, commissions are not my favorite. They're not my most creative outlet. Trying to, because like painting for myself is the most satisfying thing, my vision, whatever makes me happy is great. But when you include other people in the process, there's all these different layers. So it's like you have to create something that you are satisfied with, but also someone else is satisfied with, which can be a little nerve-wracking. So I've had different experiences with commissions. I had several before I took the program too, and some of them were scarring. you know, I had I had one I did when my firstborn was like super little, and so I spent all my free time doing this portrait of this lovely couple, and I worked really hard on it. I made it as lifelike as I could. And she came, and it's like I was new to charging people for my paintings, and she came and she did not like it. Like she flat out did not like it, and it was heartbreaking.
Oh,
And so like, oh, I'll do it again. Like I did all the things you're not supposed to do. Like I'll paint it again. It's fine, no big deal. And so I did it again, and she still didn't like it, but
oh no.
she paid me for it. I was like, oh man. But you have to get over these experiences because I've had others that made them cry, like just that they loved it so much. And knowing that, that you could have a part of someone's their life, or have a part in this special memory that they have. I've painted pictures of people who have passed away. So it's like it's a special memory to them, or, of their pet, or, their husband or whoever.
Yeah.
um, and that's kind of scary too, because it's like you want it to live up to the potential and their expectations, but it's so special to be a part of it too, to like give them this new memory of something to cherish. So I would say go for it, but also have clear boundaries of what you are willing to do and what you're not willing to do. And again, that goes back to valuing your time, valuing the amount of time and effort you put into something. It's hard to talk about, but it has a price tag. Like you have to, take yourself seriously. So, and then other people will take you seriously as well. So yeah, I've made all the mistakes. I've done all the things wrong, and it's a learning process.
Was the one that you did behind you, the dog one? I feel like that one was a commission, right? I feel like I remember that one being a commission. Or no.
No, mm-mm. I
No.
don't. I don't know if I have any of my commission ones. I had some weird ones. I painted on a saw. That was one of the weirdest ones I had last year. It was this. Oh my gosh! There was this huge metal round circular saw with like scary sharp edges.
Oh my gosh.
It was a really fun project. I had a family friend have me paint. It was like really special to them. It was a husband and wife, and they found this like years ago on a hike, and they painstakingly carried it back. They rolled it back to their house. This thing is
Oh my
heavy.
God.
And so then they had me paint this scene on it, that looked like where they found it, like this beautiful wintry tree scene on it. And I had so much fun, but just having this huge saw in my living room, and like I, I'm like, one of my kids are going to dismember themselves, like running past the thing, and I about destroyed our. I was like, let's roll it up the stairs because my art studio is upstairs, and I was like, nope, we're gonna die. This is gonna be like one of those movies where like all these situations are aligning perfectly to like murder someone with this
Right.
saw coming down their stairs.
Oh my gosh. You're like, be careful with my painting hand.
With going back to commissions, was being able to paint in your own style. I think for me, I would put my pressure like, well, how do you want this picture to look? It has to be your vision. It's like, no. If someone comes to you to paint a picture, it needs to be in your style. It has to be your voice. And once I kind of accepted that and realized like, oh, I can paint my way, oh, it's so much more fun. And then suddenly it's like, oh, I actually can enjoy this painting because it's like my vision for it.
Yeah.
And communication with whoever you're doing it for is so much better because you're not going to be able to get into their brain. And
I feel like you hit it all there on the nail, Because I mean, I've done a couple commissions, and the one, most of the time, and it was the beginning of my art journey too. So it was right before I was hitting the like mixed media and voice section, and so it's like I still didn't know like, what my art could or would look like, and so I did feel like I kind of catered mostly to what I thought my client would want. And so I feel like it did take me a lot longer because I was a little bit unsure about how to go about something because I wasn't sure what they wanted because they haven't seen, a whole lot of my artwork that has been consistent, so I wasn't sure like what exactly are they asking for. So I think for me, like, I kind of shut down the commission stage only because I felt like I didn't know exactly, my style or whatever yet. So I felt like, well, that might be difficult for me to do something for someone else if I still don't know how I do things. So then that could create some potential problems, for me down the road. So, I mean, until I finish, mastery program, I've just kind of shut it down to not have to think about it or like worry about it. But I do know like down the line, like I, will be considering like doing commissions again because you're right. It is special. It is special to be able to create something that's, going to affect someone's life or environment. Like I love getting commissions. Like I have two like in my art studio that aren't mine and I love them so much. So it's like I know how important they are, you know but again, like both of the artists I purchased from, like I know their style. Like I know that when I buy something from them, I'm going to get something that I know what it's going to at least kind of look like, and which is something I know I'd be 100% happy with.
I think it's also important to sometimes be okay with saying no. I I hate telling people no, and it's awful. It's like, can you please paint this, wedding portrait or whatever it is? And my instinct is like, well, yeah, of course, okay. But you have to look at, what are your priorities? And sometimes that's going to work for you. And sometimes you're like, honestly, I don't have the time right now. I'm prioritizing this. Or sometimes there's a project that people have presented to me that I realize I'm not the best fit. And that's okay too. Like it just goes back to finding out what your voice is. And if it's not you, that's okay. Like maybe guide them to someone else that's more suited.
That's another cool thing too, is like, because we, being a part of the program, like we have, met a lot of different people. And it's really cool that, for us that, or for me at least for right now that I'm not doing commissions, like if someone does come my way, it's like I have a whole group full of people I can be like, here you go. Like this is totally their lane. Like they will make you happy, because I don't know right now, and it's so nice to be able to do that. Cause honestly, without being a part of this program, like I wouldn't know very many artists, to be honest with you, because I mean, I grew up in Southern California, so a lot of people I know are down there, but even being down there, I didn't know I didn't consider myself an artist, so I didn't seek out other artists. But now that I'm up here and kind of new to the area, I'm like, trying to find or create a tribe or something to just kind of keep this thing going because it's so special. It's so special to be able to do life with other creative people who, you go through similar things, or you have similar experiences, or you can even just ask questions, or you can just be like, hey, like, do you see anything in this? Or, it's just we need each other, man. That's all I'm saying.
Yes, we do. You were saying earlier about like your husband looking at your painting and not getting it. And oh, that made me laugh because that's the same people who aren't artists, like they don't get it. I remember I would be painting a portrait of somebody and it's like half done. And I'd ask my mom, like, hey, what do you think? And she's like, well, why does she only have one arm? Like that's all she could see was like, well, logically it's not finished. Like, but like, yeah, but can you see past that? It's like, it's blue. I don't get it. So finding people like that speak the same language is amazing. It's like they get you talking about composition and color and what does it make you feel? Like some people they don't think that way, and having other creatives to bounce off of is so nice.
It is so nice. And I'm so grateful that they still have, even when you're done with the program, that you can still technically be a part of that community, in that other, kind of Facebook group thing. So, like, even people who, maybe listen to this and are like, oh, cool, like maybe I'll check it out. It's like, yeah, there's a community you can be a part of, where you
Yes.
can ask questions and you can, share your artwork and like maybe get some advice or, just encouragement or whatever. Like it's available. Like there's stuff out there, So, but I wouldn't have known if I didn't come across something, or if someone didn't express that, what they're a part of or like what they're doing. Like, I believe I came across the Milan Art Institute because of Esther, because I found her somewhere and I loved her art. And so I kind of stalked her for a little bit. I'm like, oh my gosh, what she does is so cool. And then
It's amazing.
finally it came out like, oh, mastery program. I'm like, okay, cool. I'll stalk them next. Like, and then it just kickstarted this whole thing. But man, anyone who is a painter or, wants to be an artist or something, like I'm like hands down, like this is an amazing program. Like I'm still blown away by all the information that we've gotten. Like it for just like 1 year, how they say like, oh, like you'll know everything in just 1 year. And at first I was like, okay, we'll see. But really, it's the truth. Like you get everything. You get
It's a
everything
lot.
from it's a lot, but it's all the golden nuggets like someone has, accumulated in their life. And like I'm just so grateful. I'm just so grateful for, I mean, I'm not trying to like throw like this whole promotion thing, but it's because we're both a part of it and it
Yeah,
really has changed my life. Like to be honest with you, I don't know like how, it's been for you, but I feel like we all
absolutely.
kind of feel the same way, right?
Absolutely. I tell people like I would talk about them regardless, this
Yeah.
program actually. Um, and people that have been around me my whole life, they all of them have noticed like the amount of growth I've had in like a year and a half versus the last 20, 30 years of my life. It's like it's just kicked it up a notch. People notice the color, they've noticed my passion, they've noticed me showing up and being myself. It's been, like you said, life changing. It's really opened up my eyes, it's opened up opportunities, and I'm really grateful that I found it.
Me too.
Community is like the nicest group of people. I was so surprised. I thought artists were going to be like clicky and
I know, huh? But
man for himself.
it's not like that at all. It's honestly like I feel like I don't know, like this group of people or whatever, like just this community or whatever you want to call it, it's like has been so like so more how do I say it? So more encouraging that it makes no sense. My brain is melting now. But has just been so encouraging, like more than I expected,
Oh
everyone
yeah.
to be because it's like I feel like a lot of creatives, like they do things on their own and they feel like they have to do things on their own and they feel like they have to keep their process and like everything secret and everything. But it's like in this community, it's like, no, the more we all know, the more we all grow. Like it's just,
Yes.
we all like kind of just bring each other up a little bit. And it's just amazing. I'm just like, man, can we just apply this like everywhere in life? Like, can we all just get this little bit right here and just kind of like, share that because it really, I really believe that, being a part of the community like allows us to grow even more. Like if we didn't have that, like say if we are just doing the program and we didn't have this place where we could talk to other people who are doing it, it's like I feel like we'd really be missing out on something, and it's just so cool.
I'm getting very, very close to finishing. I have probably like 25 paintings for my
Wow.
portfolio. And like I said, I've been working really hard on my website and it's so close. So
It's
my goal
really
is
good.
like within a month to try to just get my stuff into gear and just do and follow my own advice. It's like just put it out there, even if it's not perfect, because we're always going to tweak on, work, improve later. So just get it out there, and I'm excited.
I've just really enjoyed having you on, and I love that I've gotten to get to know you a little bit better and to just connect with you. And if there's
Yeah.
anything else that you would want to maybe say to someone that would be listening, or either now or in the future, do you have anything else you'd like to add to our conversation?
Oh, oh gosh.
No pressure.
I'll be like, no, and then tonight it haunts me. Actually, yes, there was. But I love it. This has been fun.
What are all your socials?
On Facebook, I have an account under Briana Hume Fine Art, and the same is on Instagram, Briana Hume Fine Art. And my website should be up soon. It's going to be brianahume.com. So I'm super excited for you guys to see that. Yay!
Woo! Catch next week's episode of Take Aim Podcast with myself, Martina Peach. I'll be talking about my own journey as an artist and what I've been learning about these past few years. I hope to share a little more about the school I've been attending with those out there who are curious about what I've been up to, and a few tips that will hopefully inspire you to begin exploring your creative side. See you next time.